The final thing that we can have a look at to do with loops is nested loops. We saw with if statements that we can nest one if statement inside another, and we can do that to any number of levels that we want. Well, we can do exactly the same with loop statements. We can nest one loop within another. We've already seen that we can nest if statements within loops, so you can suddenly see how the combinations become extremely variable. We can have loops within if statements within loops, we can have loops within if statements, any number of combinations. So we'll have a look at a couple of examples. This first example has our previous times table program nested inside. So there's our loop, there's our for next loop which does the times table calculations, and it's nested inside a do while loop that asks to see whether or not the user would like to see another times table, and if so, they can then enter which times table they would like to see, and the program will keep on going round until they press no. So if we execute that program, we can tell it what we'd like to see. So let's start with the 2 times table. So 1 times 2 is 2, etc. That's fine. So let's have another one. Let's have the 5 times table. So 1 times 5, that's great. Let's have the 15 times table. Okay, so you can see how that works. Pressing no will then cause the program to execute. So that's fine. That's a for loop nested inside a do while loop. Another one that we can do is nested loops of the same type. So in this case we will copy in some code that is a nested for loop. This time we're going to have effectively our first loop, our outer loop, let's call it, that uses a variable called times table, and that goes from 1 to 12. And each time that this loop goes round, there's an inner loop which has a variable called count, which goes from 1 to 12 in steps of 1. So both of these go up in steps of 1. So for every times table, count will go around 12 times. So these loops will go around a total of 144 times. 12 multiplied by 12. So what this will do is output all 12 times tables. Now if we let that run, it will simply scroll off the screen. So what we'll do is we'll have an input statement that asks the user just to press enter to see the next table. It takes in some a dummy value that is entered at the keyboard, clears screen, and then just proceeds to the next times table. So in effect it will just step through the times table from 1 to 12. So if we run that, we can see there's the first one. If we hit enter, there's the next one, enter, there's the next one, and it will go through until we get through